Good evening and welcome to UTV Live. Belfast boxer Carl Frampton has written his name into the history books after defeating Leo Santa Cruz to claim the WBA Featherweight title. The man from Tigers Bay was made to go the distance by the Mexican champion in a gruelling fight at the Barclays Center in New York last night, but emerged victorious on points. Shortly we'll have local reaction, but first here's Colin McIlroy on a night that will live long in the memory.
For the fight fans who made the trip to the Big Apple and for those who braved the 4 a.m. start back home, these were the words they longed to hear.
And the new WBA champion.
Carl Frampton crowned the world featherweight champion after the toughest fight of his career against Leo Santa Cruz. And what a fight it was as both men went to war in the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. It was the Jackal who got off to the better start, exploding out of the blocks and forcing Santa Cruz onto the ropes with a fierce onslaught in the second round. The Mexican recovered well though and fell back into his trademark style of lightning fast punching, although Frampton re-established himself in the 8th with a huge shot late in the round. The 10th was testing for the Tigers Bay man as Santa Cruz upped the work rate and Frampton was rocked by a big right hand. Both men slugged it out right to the death and embraced at the final bell in a show of mutual respect as Frampton took the victory by majority decision. It wasn't long before the celebrations got underway for Team Jackal, and rightly so, as the scale of Frampton's achievement really cannot be overstated. Never before has a boxer from Northern Ireland claimed world titles at 2 different weights, and Frampton now holds the same title as the one his mentor Barry McGuigan secured 31 years ago.
I knew it was always going to be a tough fight. I probably fought a bit more than I should have. I could have made it easier for myself, but I wanted to be involved in one of them fights. I wanted to be involved in and show people that I could do that and I could grit it out, and I think it did. And Santa Cruz is a tough guy, but I'm glad. I wanted to win that fight so much, and I did.
It means everything to me. I mean, not just the fact that Carl performed better than he's ever performed in one of the fight of the years, if not the fight of the year, in New York, in the capital of the world of boxing. I knew that the American public would love him, and by God will they love him after that. That was unbelievable, an unbelievable result.
And Frampton wasn't the only Northern Irish sportsman in attendance. He was warmly congratulated by Rory McIlroy, who put a disappointing USPGA championship behind him to roar the Jackal onto victory.
I've wanted to get to Carl's fights for a few years now, and it just never worked out, and it just so happened that the week that I'm playing golf in this area, he's fighting, so it's just unbelievable to be here and to witness that atmosphere and the support that he got, not just from the Northern Irish fans, but from the Americans that have really taken to him as well. He was already on the world stage, but obviously this win elevates him to a whole new different level, and just so happy I could be here to support him and obviously congratulate him at the end.
While the celebrations are likely to continue for a while yet, attention now turns to what comes next for Frampton. A Santa Cruz rematch could be on the cards, as could a UK super fight against IBF champ Lee Selby. For the moment though, the Jackal is enjoying his famous win. He showed off his belt on the streets of New York this morning as he prepares for what's likely to be a raucous homecoming in Belfast. Colin McIlroy, UTV Live.
Well, back home the First and Deputy First Ministers have congratulated Carl Frampton on his remarkable achievement, and fellow boxers have also been paying tribute to the world champion. Here's Barbara McCann.
The streets of Tigers Bay, where the champion grew up, were almost deserted this morning. It had been a late night for many fans who watched him dethrone Santa Cruz in a majority decision, and former neighbours pulled no punches in praising the homegrown talent.
Fantastic for Carl and his family and the whole community around here. It gives the whole community a lift, and makes everybody feel good, and it's a feel good factor.
I think it's brilliant he done. That's 2 he's got now. Two world champion. No, it's brilliant.
A world champion at 2 weights, fantastic result for a guy from this area. A brilliant fella, brilliant lad. I know his parents very well. A great result.
Obviously, Cards came from an area like this. It is contentious. It's an area that's been run down. People thought it's been a little bit of a drag in this area, but people like Carl Frampton showing different side to Tigers Bay and Belfast. I mean, he's a pro.
That's me just getting ready to go home to lie there. I haven't been to sleep yet, but he does what he does best. He uses his hands, and he brought that belt home.
Frampton's fight has made history, an impressive feat in anybody's books.
It's a great win. I don't think people realise just how big a win it is for Carl Frampton. I mean, to go to the States and to win on that stage is massive, and to beat a three-time world champion is nearly unbelievable. Santa Cruz was right in the middle of his career. He was the right age. He wasn't old. He was a young lad. He held 3 world titles, and he was a massive champion. To go out to New York and beat him puts him right up there with the rest of them. The big thing about it is this is the first time Carl Frampton's been showcased in America at the right weight. The last time we seen him, he was a super bantamweight, and he'll tell you himself he was poor. The team said he was poor. He was at the wrong weight. I said that before he went out this fight. This is the weight that he should be fighting at, and this is where we'll see the real Carl Frampton.
The First and Deputy First Ministers both tweeted their praise, jointly offering their congratulations to the superstar boxer, his family and his team. The Sports Minister added he was a credit to all sportsmen and women. And Carl Frampton's win has brought with it a new generation of fans.
He's the best and he's a great fighter and he's from here.
Brilliant. And what do you think?
He's a very good boxer, he's from here and he's the best.
Carl Frampton's roots are very firmly planted in the city. His fans will be hoping his mandatory defence of his title will be back home here. Barbara McCann, UTV Live, Belfast.
Good evening, welcome to BBC Newsline. The First and Deputy First Ministers have congratulated Carl Frampton after the Belfast boxer won his WBA featherweight title against the Mexican Leo Santa Cruz in New York in the early hours of this morning. Having stepped up from super bantamweight, the victory means he's become the first boxer from Northern Ireland to win world titles in 2 weight classes. Thomas Keane reports from New York.
Carl Frampton made history here in Brooklyn, becoming the first ever Northern Ireland boxer to become a 2-weight world champion. Carl, how does it feel?
It feels good. It feels good. I don't know. I don't really know what to say, but I don't know if it's sunk in yet, but it's obviously a nice feeling.
How big a statement was this for the boxing world?
I think it was a huge statement. I think that it kind of puts me close to the top 10 pound for pound. And you know, I don't want to be bumptious or anything or big-headed, but I think that this puts me in close to being a superstar in the boxing world, and I'm over the moon, really.
You said this was the biggest challenge of your career, but it could also change your life. How will it do that?
Obviously, I made a bit of history, and people remember that. I was the first ever Northern Irishman to win 2 world titles at different weight divisions, so that's a big deal. But also, you know, I'm in the driving seat now, and big names will want this title, this belt that I've got. They'll come for me, and obviously financially it's going to be rewarding, and that's important too when you've got 2 young kids and a wife to look after. So financially it'll help me, but I feel like I've created a bit of legacy too.
What next for you?
Who knows? Maybe a rematch with Santa Cruz, maybe a fight with Lee Selby. Will be a big fight too. It doesn't matter. I'm ready for anyone. I just want to be involved in big fights from here on in.
Thank you very much, Carl Frampton, the new WBA featherweight champion of the world. Ringside was Rory McIlroy, Danny Willett, Frank Lampard, amongst others, on a night to remember in the Big Apple.
Thomas Keane in New York. Well, manager Barry McGuigan said he'd never had any doubt that Carl Frampton would win.
I knew this fight would be a barn burner, and this is the fight of the year. This is definitely the fight of the year, and if they get a better one than that, I would be very surprised. And the kid is amazing. I've said for a long, long time, he is an amazing kid. He could go down as the greatest Irish fighter that there's ever been. That's how good he is, and he's 29 years old, so we haven't got much more time to prove that. But what a talent and what a performance tonight.
Well, as Thomas said, golfer Rory McIlroy was ringside for the fight. He gave this reaction.
What a fantastic fight. I mean, to go in there and stand toe-to-toe with Santa Cruz, I mean, it was unbelievable. I don't think I've ever been as nervous at a sporting event in my life, and it was great. You know, I haven't been able to see Carl box live before, so that was the first fight I've been to, and obviously worth the wait.
Northern Ireland boxer Carl Frampton's now a world champion in 2 weight divisions. Overnight in New York, he beat Leo Santa Cruz to take the WBA featherweight title, winning with a majority points decision. There's a warning of some flash photography coming up. Well, Frampton was fighting for the first time in the featherweight division, having stepped up from super bantamweight. And he handed his Mexican opponent his first ever defeat in 34 professional bouts after 2 of the 3 judges ruled in his favour. Frampton's manager, Barry McGuigan, won the same belt himself in 1985. And among those celebrating, as you can see, was Frampton's countryman, Rory McIlroy.
It was a big statement. That puts me among the top fighters in the world, I think. You know, I unified the super bantamweight division in February. I've just beat a 3-weight world champion in the next fight, so I believe that puts me up with the top fighters in the world, and maybe touching pound for pound top 10. It's a great feeling.